if you believe that there is one God who is in charge of things on earth, and they don't live on this planet, they live in some other place, and that when you die you're going to go to this other place, then your motivation to make this place sustainable is not the same, because you ultimately you're not staying here. Dream a little dream of me. Welcome kindreds, it's Jessica. I haven't made any notes for this video, so I'm hoping it's not going to be a massive ramble, but I did have some thoughts I wanted to share and kind of just talk about, really, about the climate change, climate denial, and what is really kind of going on in the world right now, I guess. A lot of people are sharing lots of lots of things about Greta Thunberg and about climate change, and then equally I'm seeing, well, not equally, there's much more stuff like that, and then I'm also seeing like a small but significant minority of people sharing things that saying that like climate change is a hoax, and that we are being kind of the kind of powers that be are actually supporting this because it's part of our capitalist system, and people are going to be making money out of climate change. And there's truth in both of these things, and so that's what I wanted to talk about in this video, and like how really it doesn't matter. Well, let's just talk about it. So first of all, if you haven't seen this, it's just kind of a little recap of things, that people are waking up. People are realizing that the way that we are living our lives as humans on this planet at the moment is not sustainable. And the major thrust of attention has been on climate change. And no one, as far as I know, is saying that climate change is not happening. Climate change is happening, and we've known that it is happening for a long time. The global temperatures are rising, but where the disagreement comes from, and there are reputable scientists on both sides. There are definitely more scientists on the side of saying that climate change is caused by human activity. It's being caused by the amount of CO2 that is being pumped into the atmosphere because we aren't preserving the kind of the CO2 within the ground, within the trees, that kind of thing, because we are like pumping all the oil out of the ground, taking all the coal out of the ground and burning it and releasing gases into the atmosphere, because we are cutting down trees much faster than we are planting any. Then we are upsetting that balance of CO2, and that is the kind of major contributing factor to climate change. That is that kind of one side of the argument. Super simplistic, I know, there's much more to it than that, but that's the kind of, in a nutshell, idea. Whereas the people who are kind of being labelled as like climate deniers are saying that the climate change is happening, but that it is just a normal part of our planet's kind of ebb and flow, and that there have been periods in the distant past which have reached these temperatures, and it's not actually anything to do with human activity on the planet. And and there's also, like I said, there's some science to back that up too. So it's definitely worth looking into a little bit more, and not just kind of taking at face value the things that people are sharing. And while I am definitely more, I definitely feel the truth much more that it is humans that are creating a lot of the problems in our world today. I'm not totally on board with the CO2 is the only issue. Well, I'm definitely not totally on board with that. There's lots of other things which are issues as well. This is not a single issue topic. And also, I can see why people are a little bit suspicious about this climate change movement, and the main reason is because the kind of mainstream media is on board and are reporting the kind of climate change movement in a very positive light, which they don't generally do with things that aren't useful for the mainstream capitalist society that we live in. So there is money being made off this, of climate change. But then at the same time, just because that is the case, and because there is a lot of corporate interest in climate change, you know, there's a lot of opportunity to exploit people, to get more money out of people who are trying to make changes in their lives. But that doesn't mean that nothing is happening and that we don't. It's not black and white, you know. Whenever is it black and white? Never, you know. There are many more shades of grey. Not 50, please, no. But there are many shades of grey within this whole thing. And even if you are a climate change denier, and you know, they don't call themselves that anyway, because they're not actually denying climate change, they're just denying the kind of CO2 human-caused climate change aspect of it. But even if you don't believe that humans are causing climate change, or that CO2, you know, more CO2 is a problem, or even if you do believe that, and that you believe that there's nothing we can do about it, that's what some people are also think. You know, they think that this is happening, it's not being caused by humans, and so human change in human activity is not actually going to impact it at all anyway. And so, you know, we're still doomed, but it wasn't our fault. If you see what I mean. So yeah, there's that take on it too. And I think that this is easier to take this view if you are in a mainstream religion as well, because it's like, if you believe that there is one God who is in charge of things on earth, and they don't live on this planet, they live in some other place, and that when you die you're going to go to this other place, then your motivation to make this place sustainable is not the same, because you ultimately you're not staying here. And also, you know, the people you love, if they are also part of your religion, they're not staying here either. So, you know, some people want Armageddon, they want the end of the world, because that's what is supposed to happen according to the Bible. Do you see what I mean? So there's so many factors at play here, so many things at play. The point I kind of wanted to make in this video is that even if CO2 is not the problem, humans are causing problems. They are causing problems with waste. And so even though I feel like there is much more to it than meets the eye with what is going on with climate change and things like that, and with the whole movement and the kind of politics and the corporate interest behind the movement, I am still making changes, because burying rubbish in landfill is not sustainable. Creating more rubbish than we can turn into something valuable is not sustainable. You know, we already have billions of tons of rubbish in this world that we're burning things up at a much bigger rate than we can do. And the same with like oil. You know, we are extracting more oil from this planet. We're using more oil than we're extracting. There is more demand than supply, and like, obviously that's not going to end well. We have to find alternatives, and I don't know what those alternatives are. You know, there's problems with all the alternatives. There's problems with nuclear, but there's also problems with like solar and wind, you know, and things like that. It's not clear cut, but that doesn't mean we should give up. This might sound a bit defeatist, but I'm not being defeatist. I still feel like, for me, I can make changes at a really local, personal to me level. I can walk in the woods by my house and I can pick up any rubbish I find there, and I can dispose of it appropriately, recycling as much as possible as I can. And that's how I feel would be a good approach. I feel like a good approach, especially for witches. You know, if you saw my Say No to Plastic Witchcraft video, I talked about how I feel like us as witches have an additional responsibility to be role models and to be the go-between with the spirit world in this respect, particularly, you know, with not saving the planet, because it's saving humans is what we're talking about. It's saving the human race, and also obviously the animals and things that we will take down with us when we go, or before we go. You know, species of plants and animals are declining. That is a fact. And so I feel better doing something. I feel better walking in the woods, like I say, picking up the rubbish, putting my forehead against a tree and just having a little bit of a chat with that tree and listening to what it wants me to do, how it wants me to be in the world, how it wants me to plant more trees. Just I do feel like that local level activity, that local level of doing is where we start, and perhaps that's where we finish, because if everybody did that, then, you know, at least all the populated areas in the world, which is where the main problem is, would be resolved. So I hope this doesn't sound like doom and gloom. I wanted it to be kind of positive and helpful. I'm thinking that I'm going to share some videos about like small changes. I got this idea of like kind of one small change hashtag one small change that will make a difference, you know, because that is my whole kind of philosophy of life, is like when you look at like the end goal and it seems like there's a massive chasm to get there, you're not going to start, because it seems insurmountable. But you know, we can travel any distance just by taking baby steps. It is going to take a long time, but that doesn't mean don't do it. You just you start, and you can only start by placing one foot in front of the other, you know, by doing one small change at a time. And that's kind of part of what I call everyday magic, and it is fundamental to me and to my practice. So yeah, like I said, this is probably a huge massive ramble. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and whether any of it resonates for you, or whether you're going to do anything, whether you already are. I'm loving that people are already sharing some of the stuff that they're doing, and we're all in different places on our journey with this, you know. Like some people are just now starting to do any kind of recycling at all, you know. Some people are just now swapping out their straws for you know, non-plastic, non-single-use straws, or their cotton buds for non-single-use cotton buds, you know. And that's brilliant, that's great. And then there's other people who literally are like in 1 year just creating trash that fits in one single mason jar, you know. They're not even really thinking about recycling so much anymore, because they don't bring things into their homes that even need to be recycled, because, you know, that's not reusing and reducing. That's the reason why they come first before the recycling, you know, is because they're better options. So yeah, like I say, we're all in different places with our journey, but I hope that by sharing little things that I'm doing, little easy-ish, you know, like any change is hard, because it's like, it's a pain in the ass, isn't it, changing something that we're used to doing. But if we don't do it, well, not even that. It's not like you must do this or else. It's like we should do this. We should want to do this, because if we are truly in communion with nature, in conversation with nature, then that's what we should do. It just seems really simple to me, and I hope this makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Warmest blessings, and I will see you very soon.